Hi everyone. Today I'm going to go over ecology with you. One thing that you are going to need to get started for your notes today on ecology is the circles. These are called concentric circles, and you should have a packet of these in your folder. If you do not have these, please let me know and I will get you a pack. I would start by cutting these out and then attaching them all so that they look something like this. So I just put a staple up here on the top to attach all the circles from smallest to largest. We will label as we go, but just to get you started, I would get this done first. You can pause this video at any time, so if you want to pause now and set up your circles, you can do that, or you could keep watching and I'll be going over the notes. So to start, ecology is the study of interactions of organisms in their environment. So how does a tree, which is an organism, interact with its environment? How does a human, who is an organism, interact with its environment? And because there are so many organisms and so many environments on planet Earth, ecologists and scientists like to divide up Earth into levels that we can look at more closely. And that's what I have in this picture over here. So the biosphere is planet Earth, and then within planet Earth, or the biosphere, you have biomes. Within biomes, you have ecosystems. Within ecosystems, you have communities of various organisms, and then you have populations within those communities of separate species. And then you have individuals within those populations. So I'm going to take you deeper into each of those levels of organization is what I'll continue to call them for the rest of the video. So to start, for each of your circles, hopefully you have these set up by now, on each one you are going to write the vocabulary word and then have a definition or a description and then a picture or an example to help you remember what each of these levels of organization are. So they go in order from biosphere to biome, ecosystem, community, population, and then individuals. I'm going to set that off to the side and keep going with the biosphere. So biosphere is planet Earth basically. It includes all of its life and physical environments. So I just have a nice pretty picture of planet Earth here. It's kind of funny that I have the biggest circle to show you biosphere and there's really not much that we're writing on here, but it's a good visual to remember that this is the largest level of organization. So the biggest thing is planet Earth in ecology terms. Next up is biomes. Biomes are groups of ecosystems that have a characteristic climate, plant life, animal communities. A common one that maybe you think of is like a tropical rainforest. That's a biome. Deserts, those are biomes. Where we live in the biome of temperate deciduous forests. So we have seasons and it's a temperate climate because of that. We have deciduous trees that lose their leaves in the fall, and that's our biome. Also, you have aquatic biomes, so I'm just scrolling down so you can see like a map of all the different biomes here. And aquatic biomes aren't really shown in this map, but there are freshwater biomes like the Connecticut River, and marine biomes like what we have out in Long Island Sound and past Long Island Sound into the open ocean. So there's some biomes. What's interesting is that most of your deserts are just above the equator line. Most of your rainforests are at about the equator line. So we have certain places on planet Earth that have those particular climates because of where they are on Earth. And because of where those environments are, you have particular species, plants, and animal communities that live there. So that's a biome. Next up, we are now in like the middle of our foldable. So I showed you biosphere, biome, which was the second one, and now we are in ecosystems, which is the third largest circle. Ecosystems, there's a lot of information that we have on ecosystems here on this slide. Basically, an ecosystem is a group of communities that interact with each other, and that includes non-living parts of the environment as well as living parts of the environment. Abiotic factors are the non-living physical environment factors. So things like a rock or water, that's non-living, but it's part of the physical environment. So abiotic, A meaning non, and then biotic, living. Biotic factors are the opposite, biotic meaning living, and that's the factors in an environment or the things that are in the environment that are living. And we can divide that even further into flora and fauna. Flora is anything that's plant-like, that's capable of being a food producer. So algae, trees, grasses, um, flowers, flowering plants, those are all things that are producers, and that's flora. Fauna is all of your animals or anything that's within the animal kingdom, anything that's basically a consumer of those producers. The flora, that's fauna, anything that's going to consume something, an organism that's going to consume something. So here I have a picture of an ecosystem. There's non-living or abiotic factors like the water, and then there is living factors or biotic things, biotic factors like the dragonfly in the bottom, the deer over on the side of the screen here, and then the turtles that are on the log. So this is a nice ecosystem. Sunlight, that's actually another thing that would be considered a biotic factor. It influences temperatures. That's something that is abiotic as well. Our next one is community. Communities are different populations of organisms that are living in a certain place. So for example, I wrote here a grassland is a community that has grasses, insects, birds, herbivores, carnivores, so on and so forth. So in this picture, I circled the communities. There is a community of turtles over here on this log. There's a community of insects in this bottom corner. There's actually a beetle, it looks like a ladybug, and a dragonfly as well. Those are all communities of insects. Next is population. So within communities, you have populations of all the same species living in a certain place. So in this case, in the picture, I circled the turtles that are living in this ecosystem, but they are a population within the ecosystem. Next, habitats. I kind of included that just to, I guess, review that, but within these levels of organization, and as you get closer to the individual circle, you have to kind of remember that wherever an organism lives, that's its habitat. So you have habitats also within these communities and ecosystems and populations. This is maybe something that you want to put on the population circle, or maybe even the individual circle. The only thing I would be hesitant about is that the individual circle is actually very small. So it might be hard to fit a lot of information there. But here I just circled the habitat of these ferns. Looks like that's kind of a place where many insects are living, and in the picture I just felt like that was the closest thing to a true habitat that I saw. All right, I'm going to kind of pause where I am and then let you take a look at the circles, and I have just some like checking for understanding questions. We'll go over these in class, but if you place your circles out in front of you and take a look at what's really there now, I'm going to ask you to look for things that you notice, any observations, any patterns of the organization, and then where an energy pyramid would fit into the ecological organization. So if you had basically a food chain, I'm gonna rephrase that instead of saying an energy pyramid, but where would you fit a food chain into these circles? Which circle would it fit into? So that's something to think about before we review all this in class. All right, I think that's it. I'm just going to look really quick. Oh, yep, that is it, because our next slide is food webs. I'm going to do food webs in a separate video, just so that it's separate from this one. But that is all for just the basics of ecology. We're going to go over this in class together, so make sure that you have your circles ready to be reviewed.